trying to make sure that I don't mess this up again. Okay. I think I'm live. Let's find out. Before we actually start this podcast, let's make sure that I'm actually live. Okay. Let's make sure. Oh, I am here. Okay. I am here. Praise the Lord. Okay. Hey y'all, we are back again for another podcast, another week, trying to make sure that we live a little with a little less chaos. Okay, listen, I am super excited about this morning because we're going to be talking about the first step in something that I think is so important, and it's the stairwell to intentional living. Okay, but before I get into all of that, let's break down what we doing and what we do every single week. Remember, the whole point to this podcast is so that we as a people start to become intentional with our weeks, intentional with setting up our week for success. So, of course, we're going to break down the good things. What's some couple of good things that happened for you this week? Make sure that you put that in the comments because I want to read it. Right. And then we're going to break down what's on the docket. What are we planning for the week? And then finally, we're going to break into an intentional topic of the week. And this week, we're actually going to be talking about, well, this month, we're going to be talking about that still process, the stairway to intentional living. And we're going to start with acknowledging your dream. Now, I've actually been talking about this on YouTube, on TikTok and Instagram and all those different places just a little bit, but we're going to dive into it a little bit more in this March month as we're marching forward in the year. You know what? That's going to be a post. Let us march forward. I know that's real corny, but I want us to march forward in all that God has for us in this month. And that's going to start by being intentional with our moments, intentional every single week. But anyway, we're going to be breaking down this stairwell to intentional living first with acknowledging your dreams, or today we're going to be dreaming again. Then we're going to break it down into the next three steps, which is living by principle, execute by process, and then winning by practice, right? These are the four steps, the four key things that will help you walk in this life of intentional living, okay? So I'm super excited. And then, of course, we end with prayer because prayer changes things. Anyway, so let's get into this week, okay? So first things first, the good things. Let me tell you, I had a great week. Okay. It started out crazy and then it got good, okay? Because last week was my first week back into the office in honestly, like regularly in the office in 5 years. And matter of fact, I haven't been in the office every single day in probably almost 10 years. I had telework, right? But if you've been following the news, we as federal workers, I do work for the federal government, are mandated to go back to work 5 days a week or 40, I would say 40 hours a week. And so we had to go. And it's actually not that bad because I love my coworkers, thankfully. Not everybody can say that. So I've been enjoying the time in the office, actually. I ain't gonna lie. I still like being at home better, being the truth, saying the truth. I still like working from home better. I also feel like I get more work done actually at home, but that's besides the point. But honestly, I really enjoy being able to interact with the people that I get to do such good work with every single week. It's so cool to just be with them, right? So that was good. Then I had a friends hang out. We went to brunch in Baltimore. It was Baltimore, excuse me. I'm from Baltimore, so you know. Anyway, we went to brunch out there. I think it's called Rise and Rest. It was so tasty, so great. What else I do? I had a lot of fun. I did, and I got a lot of good things done, right? Like we got some stuff done at work that was really key, even with all the craziness going on. And so it was a good week. It was a good week. How was your week? Did you get stuff done? Did you get things done? Were you able to progress in your goals and the things that you desire to do? Were you? All right, good. But again, the whole point, I'm always going to preach this. The whole point to even taking a moment to think about the good things, the things that you've accomplished, the good things that happen, is so that you can walk into the next week excited. You can walk into this next week knowing that you have the power and you have the ability to do great work. Okay. When we dwell on the negative, it's really hard to believe that you can continue to go forward. It really is. So that is why we take a moment before we start looking over our week, before we start looking over our calendar, before we do anything, to reflect on the week behind us and see what good happened. Okay. All right. So that's what happened for me and my good things. Next thing on the docket is what's on the docket. Well, what is happening? What's about to happen for you this week? Okay. So for me, I'm having a pretty chill week. It's the regular things, nothing really new except for surviving the second week in the office. I'm starting to get my system together, right? So surviving the the second week in the office, and then also I'm starting to I did my taxes already, and I got a little money back, you know. It's kind of nice. But and so I could probably talk about this as well. I could talk about finances and stuff like that as well. But got a little money back because of my giving and because of my deductions. It's really important to start using your deductions, okay? Because you get some stuff. All right. Anyway, so now that I'm doing it, I'm like thinking through the things that I need to work in my household, right? Like I need to upgrade my security system. I got to do some certain things. I have to be an adult. I was talking to people about having a house, and it's really good. It's actually very important when you're able to own a house, you should do it, because there's lots of things inside of owning a home that is good for you. But let me tell you, owning a home, being an adult is a lot, okay? So you got to think about those things, repairs I got to do, all type of stuff, okay? So that's what I'm going to be doing outside of the regular work day. I have some deadlines to hit, some things that need to happen this week. So I'm going to be working on that as well. So that's aside. What's on the docket for you? What are you doing? Is this a real chill week? Is this a regular week? Is this your dream week? I talk about the dream week all the time as well, where it is literally you putting on paper what would be the ideal week. What if you were able to hit all your goals, do all the things that you promised that you would do? What would that standard week look like? What would that dream week look like? And it's important to put that down on paper so that you can see, well, what needs to change, right? It also makes your weekly review a little bit easier, because then when you see that you got an appointment that wasn't there before, you can be like, okay, well, I'm going to have to switch up my routine today. I'm going to have to change some things up today, right? But if you don't have a dream week, if you don't have the standard, how do you know how you're going to change and progress? And having that standard allows you to have less chaos in your life, because you know what you need to do. You know what you need to change, right? I can go down. We're going to talk about that in the next season. So, just so you know, I do this in seasons. After March, we're going to be taking a break. We're going to be doing our reset, and then we're going to come back again in May. Okay. And we're going to be talking about practical tools on living intentionally. So, like getting your dream week together, actually having routines that work, things like that. So, season two going to be fun. I'm excited. Anyway, so that's what I'll be doing. Now we're going to get into the intentional topic of the week. And this week, again, we're going to be starting the first part of the stairwell to intentional living, or the still process. And that is acknowledging your dream. Today's title is actually Kill Chaos by Dreaming Again. It's so important that you have your dream readily accessible, because it allows you and it gives you the power to be intentional. If you don't have a dream, then you'll just let anything go. There's a verse, it says, without um wisdom they cast off restraint. Is it wisdom? Yeah, it is. Is it wisdom, or is it, anyway, can't remember. I think it's wisdom. But I always like to think about that is wisdom, focus, without knowledge. That's what it is. I was like, I know that's wrong. Without knowledge, the people cast off restraint, right? Without knowing where you're going, you're gonna cast off restraint. you're going to do whatever, right? But when you know where you're going, when you have a dream that you're trying to fulfill, when you know that you have something that needs to get done, it allows you to be just a teens bit more focused in your life. You're able to say yes or no to things a little bit easier because you know where you're trying to go. And I want you guys to dream again. I was reminded of a verse, Proverbs 13:12. It says that hope deferred makes the heart sick, but when desire is fulfilled, it is the tree of life. I love that verse because it just reminds us how hope can be deferred and how that can affect us. I was looking up some synonyms for hope, and synonyms for hope can be desire, aspiration, dream, yearning, right? When you allow your dream to be deferred, it's going to make your heart sick. Are y'all feeling sick today? Are y'all feeling like, man, I cannot get up? I don't want to. Perhaps you don't have your dream in order, or perhaps you forgot your dream, right? It's so important that, and particularly in living this intentional life and embarking on an intentional living journey, your dreams are so important because they are the things that give you the focus and the desire to move forward. It's the tree of life. It is the planting. You know, it's so cool. There's so much for me when I start thinking about trees. Um, because the Bible talks about trees. Matter of fact, my that's so funny. I wasn't even thinking about it, but my devotional, the first one, is all about being planted, right? Because God likens us to trees. He likens us to being a tree. And when we are that tree, when we are filled with our dreams, when we are tied to his presence, our tree flourishes. So I mean, there's just so much in that verse. That's not part of what I wrote. I did not write any of that down, but but I was just thinking about that. Like, when we are planted in our dreams, in the desires of our heart, and I love how God says that God gives us the desires of our heart. Then he also talks about how he is the one that if we look to him, if we do his desires, then our desires will be fulfilled. Like, there's just so many just things just tied together there. I just love it. But I'm just reading the one of the verses here. Psalm 92:12. It says, the righteous shall flourish like the palm tree, and they shall grow like a cedar in Lebanon, planted in the house of the Lord. They shall flourish in the courts of our God. I just think about, being planted in your dreams, being planted in the desires of God, right? That is how we can build our tree of life. But I went down a whole nother route that I didn't even think I was gonna go down. That is not what's written here. But let me get back to what's written here, because that's good though. Ain't that good? Be planted in his house. Be planted in his presence. Be planted in the fact that he's the one that gives good gifts. Oh, and that would be the start to your hope coming back. That would be the start to your dreams coming back. Yeah, get planted. Oh my gosh, get planted. So, yes, one of the key things is to really have your dream and know what that dream is. Dream again. Remember those dreams. Remember those desires. I was actually thinking, and one thing that, when you're clear about your goals and you keep or and dreams, and you keep going back to them, it helps you to be intentional. And you know what? When life is particularly chaotic or challenging and you feel every bit of it, your dream might be a little bit out of focus, because life is going to be crazy. Life is going to do all type of things, right? But it's when it starts to defer your hope, it is when it starts to weigh heavy on you, that your dream may have been out of focus. And that actually happened to me recently. Man, I allowed all of the craziness going on around me to dictate how I moved. I wasn't, honestly, y'all, I wasn't even intentional at all. I was still doing all the things, so I looked fine. Right, getting things done. I am a very focused in general person for the most part. There's some things that I'm not that focused in. It can't be perfect, right? But for the most part, I'm a very regimented person because I really have ingrained or kind of planted these intentional living practices in my life. So the things are going to happen. But when I started to feel kind of out of sorts, I was realizing that I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do. And you know what really did it for me? It was um when was it? It was I volunteer at my church and there's like a thing that I have to do every single week. And I didn't do it since January 19th. And the pastor or the thing was like, hey Sonja, you haven't reported on this thing since January 19th. And that literally was a light bulb moment for me because I was like, you know what happened? January 20th, my life changed. Or at least my work life changed. Not my life. My life was still good, but my work life totally changed. Crazy things started happening. And my brain just went away. I forgot my dreams. I forgot the things that I needed to focus on, right? And I started to feel it. I started to let some little things slide that I don't typically allow slide, right? And that's how I knew I was off. So, how are you off? How do you know you're off, right? So when I realized that, I had to get a reset going, okay? And I have been chatting so long. So we're going to do this three quick ways, three thick quick things to get back to dreaming again, to get back to your dreams, to get back to living that life focused on the things that you want to be intentional about. Number one, be still in his presence. It's so important to take a moment to be still in God's presence because it's in his presence that there's fullness of joy. It's in his presence that you get restored, that you get filled back up again. And also it's in his presence that you can hear him. Then the second thing is to lean into your practices. What intentional living practices are you already doing? That's what I did. I started to be like, okay, we need to do my weekly review. We need to get all of my daily things together. I need to get in the gym. I need to make sure that I'm working out. Listen. What else? I was like, I did what other practices do I have that I need to get back into? Lean into your practices because those are the things that ground you. I had to make sure I was getting in prayer, okay? Because I was like, wait a minute, even my prayer was lacking. That can't happen. I need to get back there, right? So literally leaning into your practices, leaning into the things that help you live your life well is going to help you get back to your dreams, okay? So first thing was be still in his presence. Take time to rest in his presence. Two, lean into your practices. That helped me kind of get my brain back into the right frame. And then the final step is to remind yourself of your dreams. Or if you've never taken the moment to really do this, acknowledge your dreams in the first place. Because when you actually acknowledge those dreams, you're able to be a little bit more focused. You're able to say yes to the right things and no to the right things. When you do that, it transforms your life. For me, kind of getting myself back to it, I had to do a mini reset. And we're going to talk about that. I'll be doing a reset at the end of the month to help us get our minds back to where we need to go. And I'm super excited about that. I'm trying to think, how are we going to do this virtually for you folks. But I had to do my own quick reset, get my mind right, read through my life plan, read through my eulogy actually. So another thing that I have is a life plan, and in that life plan I wrote my eulogy. And y'all, I done messed myself up. I read that right before we got in here and I nearly teared up because it was the reminder that I needed to know that I'm one, still on the right path, and two, I know where I can go to move and progress in the path that I believe the Lord has placed me on, right? So I encourage you to do those things. Be still in his presence, lean into your practices, and remind yourself of your dreams. Reset. Read your life plan, read your eulogy. If you've never done your own eulogy, you should do it. Matter of fact, that's your homework. I know I don't give out homework typically. The homework really is to do your weekly review. But this week, write your own eulogy. Write it down. And that is what's going to help you think about your dreams. Think about, and how you do that. Think about the impact that you want to make on this earth and write it. Go study what eulogies typically look like and write that out. Maybe I'll read a little bit of mine at some point, but do that and it's going to get you on that path towards intentional living for sure. Okay. All right, y'all. Well, that's all I have for you today. Let us end off as usual with our dream boost prayer. Lord, remind us of our dreams. Remind us of why we do the work we do and live the life we live. Bring us clarity, hope, and joy as we navigate back to the desires that you placed in us. All right, y'all. I finished and now I'm about to head on out of here. Okay. Have an awesome day. Write your eulogy. Get your weekly review done. All right. Bye, y'all.